Hey folks, welcome back to the farm. We've got a few things to do. Thought y'all might like to come along with us. Come on along. So if you remember a couple weeks ago when we started our apple cider vinegar, so it's time now we're going to strain this out. So I told you I would let you know what the process was when we did that. So we took our apple cores, if you remember, put them in these half-gallon jars and then put water about up to here. So what happens is anytime you have an apple juice or anything like that, when it sits for a while, it starts to ferment, and it'll ferment within like a week or so. Basically what you're making is like hard cider, really, because you're turning this into like a wine. The sugars turn into alcohol once it ferments. So the process is once it's alcohol, then you can convert it to vinegar. Now, alcohol like wine or something like that will turn into vinegar on its own given long enough. However, if a bad bacteria gets introduced, it'll be off-putting flavor. So what we do to inoculate this is you buy a jar of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar, which still has the mother in it. And I divided that little jar of Bragg's vinegar into these 3 bottles. And that brings the acetic acid. So that acidic, or I think it's acetate, or whatever it's called, that turns our alcohol into vinegar. So it's kind of a 2-step process. So it's been a couple weeks and it's done that. If you take the lids off of these now, these have the burp lids, and this one we were just keeping the lid just barely on it so it could still breathe. So this is ready to go. If you smell it, it smells just like a really good apple cider vinegar. So now what I want to do is I want to strain these big jars out, and we're going to put it into our sanitized 1-gallon jug here. And then I have an airlock I'm going to put on here too in case the fermentation is just a little bit more going on. So then we have a jug of apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. I used to use this for our red wine vinegar, but now that I have our own red wine vinegar, it has the mother in the jars. So whenever we want to make apple cider vinegar now, we can take some of our apple cider out of the pantry, open it because it's been pasteurized, and then let it ferment. And then once it ferments, we can pour it into this jug that's got the acetic acid in here, and it'll convert that alcohol to more apple cider vinegar. So we can keep the process going. When this jug gets low, we can keep refilling it. So without further ado, let's get this strained into this jug. So we got this little funnel. It has a strainer in it that's a removable strainer. And then it's got a little funnel that goes on the bottom, snaps on the bottom. I think this is Tupperware. But really handy little funnel. We'll get these jars one by one here. Take the lids off. Actually, I want to give it a little shake first. Smells really good. And then we'll start pouring this in here. This little strainer is going to catch any debris that comes out of the jar. Pick up our funnel a little bit, let the air out. It for that jar. Now the rest of these apple cores we can throw in the chicken bucket, and that'll be good for them. All right, on to this next jar. We'll take the burp lid off of it. Put on this regular lid. Give it a shake. So these 3 half-gallon jars, minus the apple cores that are in them, should give us about a gallon or so. All right, last jar. We don't want to fill it clear to the top. You want to leave a little airspace in there. There we go. So here's our airlock. We want to fill it about half full of water. About like that. And then you just shove your cork into your jar. So as this bubbles, the water in here will allow the air to bubble out, but it won't allow air to go back in. So there's our gallon jar of apple cider vinegar. Now the next thing we have is our fermented habanero peppers. And these have fermented now, and we're ready to make hot sauce out of this. Now I learned a valuable lesson doing this from my fermented pepper or fermented hot sauce group that I am in on Facebook. Never do your onions in your ferment, because when your onions ferment, they give off like a sulfurous kind of smell, and you'll get that, but it fades over time. It doesn't mean you ruined your batch. And this is already starting to fade. It's starting to smell sweeter. So as this sits in a bottle or whatever over time, that'll eventually go away. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put this in our Ninja blender, because we want to just crazy pulverize this. We're going to run it for quite some time. Now, they're telling me also that if you have like a, what's the fancy blender, the Vitamix blender. If you have a Vitamix, you could pasteurize this right in your mixer, because it actually heats because of the friction that it causes. And you can bring this up to about 180 degrees and pasteurize your hot sauce to where it'll be shelf stable once you put it in the jar. But they're saying add your onions when you do this process that we're going to do today. Add your onions, garlic, vinegar, more salt, whatever you want to do to balance out your flavors at this juncture. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to add different flavorings. We're going to throw some garlic in there. We're going to probably add some either white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and probably some salt until we like the flavor of this. I also want to add some peach jelly that we have to give it a little hint of peach, so it'll be like a habanero peach hot sauce. So let's go down and get our peach jelly. So these additions that we're doing is another reason to pasteurize your hot sauce, because if you go and throw something sugary in the mix in there, it's going to want to start fermentation over again, and we don't want it to ferment anymore. We want that to be done. So we do want to pasteurize this before it goes in the bottle, or actually pasteurize it right in the bottle. We could do that too. So let's see, where is our peach? There's plum. Let's see, grape. We must have used the peach, so let's go with the plum. Well, better yet, why don't we go with the wild sandhill plum? The color is a little closer too. Let's swap these out. We'll go with this one. Well, this is going to work out good. We've got 8 cups and 8 cups. So we're going to process this in 2 batches. So this is ready to go on the blender. We'll puree this for a little bit and then we'll add the jam and our other ingredients. We ran our mixture on high for 5 minutes straight. Now this Ninja blender has 2 sets of blades in it, so it does an extra good job of chopping. But not to say you can't use a regular blender as long as you're getting good circulation in there. You may want to run it just for a little bit longer. You can just hardly see any pieces left in it. It's pretty much liquefied. So we're going to dump this into one of our real big sauce pots, and then we'll do our other batch right now the same way. All right, we've got all of our puree into our pot right here. Starting to aerosolize in the kitchen here. And I don't want to run Kelly out of the house today, so I went ahead and covered this with plastic wrap, and we'll deal with this tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, folks, it's officially tomorrow. Kelly's off to work so we can get this house all polluted up with pepper smell. So yesterday, we blended this up, we pureed it for 5 minutes. Now, we were right up to the maximum line on our blender, so we didn't add any of our jelly or our garlic. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to dump about half full of our pepper puree. We'll add our jelly, we'll add our garlic, and then we'll pour this back into the pot after we give it a good blend. All right, we're going to add our half pint of wild sandhill plum jelly. Throw that whole thing in the mix. That ought to make it taste amazing. Give it a little bit of that fruity flavor. We're also going to throw some garlic in here. We're going to go with a 1/4 cup of garlic. See where that takes us. We're going to throw some vinegar in here too. We're going to go with about a 1/2 cup of just plain white vinegar. We don't want to add too much because our mixture should already have some tang to it after fermenting. All right, let's take this for a spin now. We got that all blended up. We're going to add it to our master mix here. We'll give this a good stir. Incorporate everything real good. We'll give it a taste once we get it well combined. Now we gave it a taste. It's absolutely perfect. I don't like a lot of sweetness to it, but I do like just a touch, and we are right there. We have the perfect amount of tang and the perfect amount of habanero flavor. It is so good. So we're going to heat this up now. We get to put it on low heat, and we're going to bring this up slowly to about 180 degrees. And what that's going to do is going to stop any further fermentation now that we've added that other stuff, because we don't want any fermentation going on in our bottles. We don't want to build any pressure in them. And it's also going to kind of mellow the flavor just a little bit. Not that it needs it, but it'll develop some of the sugars and it'll become a little less harsh to the tongue. You'll still have the heat, but it'll take away some of that kind of that green flavor. Now while we're waiting for that to warm, we've got our hot sauce bottles. I've got 30 of them that I ordered. Probably not going to all fit, but they come as kind of a kit. They're a glass bottle. They got the shrink wrap top that goes on them with the lid and the little plastic insert that keeps all your hot sauce from just running out. So you can kind of shake it out. So we got to pull all these little toppers off, pull the lids off, pull the inserts out, and then we can sterilize our bottles. And I'm also going to sterilize the insert and the cap as well. Not again. Got our mixture up to 180 degrees. So now what I want to do is I have this fine mesh press bag that we use for like the apple cider. It's got a really fine mesh on it. I want to pour this through there to capture, like, there's little pieces of seeds and any bigger solids, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to shake your hot sauce out of the jar and a little clump clogs up that little tip. So let's get it strained. All right, we'll wash our pot out. We'll strain this. We'll put this back in the pot and we'll bring it back to 180 degrees and we'll put it in the bottle. Okay, we've strained out all of our hot sauce. Here's all of our solids right here. We didn't want all that in our hot sauce jars. Now we're not going to discard this. I'm going to rehydrate this with a little bit of vinegar, and I'm going to use this as a salsa over the next month or so. I'll put it in the fridge, and this is still good spice here. If you leave all of those solids in your mix, not only could they plug up the end of your sauce bottle, all that stuff will eventually settle to the bottom, and then you got to constantly shake it up all the time. Got our paste rehydrated. I used about 3/4 apple cider vinegar, the stuff we had left over that didn't fit in that jar. And then I used some water as well. It's got a really good flavor. It's still got plenty of heat in there, so we'll definitely use that. We'll put it in the fridge. So we're going to reheat our batch up to 180 degrees. It's down to 89 now. And then we're going to put it in our sanitized jars. You can see how beautiful smooth that is now. We're up to 151. We want to go to 180. We'll hold that for about 10 minutes. And then we've got all of our sterilized jars. We'll pour that into our jars. I'm going to leave about a probably 3/4 inch head space in the jars. And then once I get the lids on, I'm going to lay them on their side so that little top area of the jar gets sterilized by that hot liquid. And then we'll be done, other than labeling and putting the caps on them. All right, we did 180 for 10 minutes. Time to bottle this stuff up. Got our first row done. Any that are a little full, you just dump in that next row of jars. So we're going to put our snap caps on them and then our screw caps. That's what the restrictor caps look like. Keeps the hot sauce from just running out of the bottle. Well, we got 18.5 bottles of our hot sauce out of that gallon of peppers that we fermented. So pretty good haul. We'll get these all stood up and we'll get the labels on them. We'll put the shrink caps on them just for giggle purposes. We really don't need them, but it kind of dresses them up a little bit. Already using some of our pepper paste on breakfast. Here we go, folks. There's our little special bottles. Good looking hot sauce. Got a little Markelly Farm sticker on the back. Sending some love. Some hot love, baby. Alright, let's have a little fun. If you like hot stuff and would like me to send you a bottle of this, let's do a little trivia to see if you have been around this channel a while. So, in one of our videos, I mentioned getting something for my birthday when I was a little kid from a lady named Dorothy. If you can tell me what that was, I was really excited about it. I'll send you a bottle of this hot sauce, but you got to be the first one in the comments to tell me what that was. That was a long time ago. So if you remember this, you've been with this channel a while. Well, we're done with the hot sauce and the vinegar, and the video is probably long enough already. So I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll have plenty of time to get this pepper vapor ventilated out of the kitchen before Kelly gets home. And I hope you try some of this stuff. It's really good. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at the farm. We got lots more to do.